Hello, good morning, and welcome back to the post-Adepticon edition of Reaper Pro Tips. We're back. We're back. Woo, we're back. Oh my god, I'm so happy to get away from the frozen north. Oh my god, the wind chill was 13. It's not civilized. This is why I moved away from Wisconsin. Just saying. But yes, I was reminded why I moved to Texas and why I moved to California. Yucky. How do you people live in that? I don't get it. I've lived there for 30 years, so I guess I know. But still, happy Monday. Yes. Adepticon was awesome, Agent Marvel. Awesome. It was like, it was funny because actually all the Europeans came over or a lot of the Europeans came over. Yeah, D. Clearman with the resub 30. Oh, I almost have to sing on the triple subiversary. Nice, D. Clearman. Nice. Yeah, it's disgusting, right, Babel? This is just uncivilized. The weather is uncivilized. It needs to get a nice glass of wine, kick back, put the temperature up a little bit. Oh, dear. But you drink. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was like... Because this was the Golden Demon one was the first Golden Demon post-pandemic anywhere, actually. US, I didn't realize that at the time. I didn't know that it had been that long, but I guess it makes sense because the UK, was hit pretty hard. But yeah, so a bunch of British people came over, a bunch of other Europeans came over, some of the best people in North America were competing. It was mind-blowing. I posted just a few pictures, but if you're on Instagram at all, you probably have seen a bunch of pictures from the event. There was some amazing work, guys, just drop dead amazing. I think Vince will probably do a video of Intrudella. We talked a lot about just the results and just the awesome amount of models. So yes, it was cool. It was really cool. And because all of those people showed up, you get to see all your friends that you've known all these years. And then, you have Wapple is there and Aaron Lovejoy and Matt DiPietro and, guys, all the Miniature Monthly crew. And so, yeah, it was like, I think it was Ben Cantor who was like, yeah, it's like we all went to college together and this is our reunion. It felt like that. So it was really, really good if you're a miniatures painting hobby person, it was really, really good, I think. Anyway, I'm just going to do one more thing before we start the stream. And that is that I did this. My model that I was painting on my own stream, I entered in the Privateer Grandmaster, and I did actually get silver in the Grandmaster. So I got my first trophy that I have won in, are you ready? 20 years, guys. It has been 20 years since I won a trophy. Yeah, so it's a monster. It's big. Yeah, it's much bigger than the model. So talk about comeback, right? 2 decades later. Oh yeah, and here, let's switch to mini cam and I'll show you the mini and then we'll get on to painting. We will get on to painting, I promise. So yeah, so this was Borka. And let me get out a little and... There you go. So that's how he ended up. And the judges felt that he was good enough to warrant a silver. The trophy should always be bigger. I guess in miniature painting, that's true, right? But yeah, so there you go, guys. Yes. Oh, and the topper on all this, of course, which I feel kind of bad about. I'm gonna put these guys away over here. But yeah, get over there. Stay. David didn't win. I actually beat David. I feel bad. At the same time, I feel like isn't it bad? I hope he's not watching. But now he's primed to whip my butt. So yes, he's proud of me. It was good. It was good. I think it was Dogfather. No, it was D&D with Dad on my Patreon who was like, so was that a rough ride home? Yeah, it was a poor David. Golden Demon is a really, as Vince Venturello mentioned in a recent video, Golden Demon is a really unusual painting competition in that it rewards technical merit, like really tight, like GW style. And that's not what David does. David does a lot more light and impressionistic and, more painterly. And so his stuff all got a pin. It all made first cut. I mean, I told him it's like, you can't be too disappointed because the level of competition was through the roof. And actually one of his models did get a commendation, so it was in the running for a demon, but he didn't get one. He's struggling, Kerniko, and this is actually a good time to kind of talk about this, but different competitions have different focuses and different styles that the company, especially when you're painting for a company's competition, different styles that they're going to reward. And that's just the way it is. That's what makes it, to me, a lot of people are kind of grumbly about that. They just want to paint what they want to paint exactly the way they want to paint it. And you could certainly do that. But I kind of like the challenge of painting for a particular company, like the Privateer one. I knew I was going metallics because Privateer, like, traditionally has really been pro true metallics, and so that was it was what I wanted to do, but it was also a strategic choice. So I feel like the best way to tackle competition is to paint the way you want to paint, but always keep in mind, like, if there's a specific little thing like that, like the company definitely likes metallics or the company definitely likes cleaner paint jobs, you should paint what you want to paint the way you want to paint it, but you should always keep those things in mind. And if you can stretch yourself in that direction, then you have a better chance of winning. But if your point is just to paint something really awesome, then go for it. I mean, everybody's going to like it anyway. But yes. Oh, good, Zito. I'm happy. So yeah, he kind of waffled back and forth on the plane. At first he was really kind of like, I don't want to paint like that. And I'm like, well, this is an opportunity for you to try to paint tighter if you ever wanted to, right? But if you don't want to, then, just don't. But by the end of the flight home, he was like, I guess I could paint blah. And I was like, just do what you want, honey. Just do what you want. This is not pink. This is Orchid purple from the Kickstarter. And now I have to figure out where I stuffed it. Because I need it. I need it, and now I'm like, wait, where did I stuff the Orchid purple? Oh, there it is. It's got the gray cap. I'm actually kind of happy they used some of the old gray caps for these. So it's Orchid purple from the Kickstarter. If you do not have Orchid purple Nerf, then you might want to check out the Fast Palette with Necromancer purple, which I think is in Gloom and Grave. They're very similar colors, although as you can see, this one is lighter and much redder than the Orchid. But yeah, I wanted to use Orchid because it was one of my favorite colors when I was formulating the Bones 5 colors. And so I really did want to, although, you know what, I'm going to keep Necromancer out because this could be good for mixing highlights. But yeah, so we're using Orchid today. That is incorrect, Inara. Actually, okay, so just to get that also, and I'm sure plenty of people are going to be doing things. In the old days, Inara, that was true. One of my purposes in really wanting to go and see Golden Demon this year was to see what GW is like now. Because 20 years ago is 20 years ago. When I won my Golden Demons, that was 2002. And a lot has changed since then in the hobby and in GW's mindset. And so the Slayer Sword winner was not converted. It was a single figure. It was small, but it was perfectly painted. And a lot of people freaked out about that. And I was like, I think Vince took one look at that model and he was like, that's the Slayer Sword. And we're like, no way. There's so much good stuff. No way. And he's like, no. It's a GW model. Even though it hasn't been converted, it's done perfectly to their style. And sure enough, that model got the Slayer Sword. So we all thought he was crazy, but he was absolutely right. So actually, what GW is doing now is they're sending a message that this is no longer the old days. This is not, you have to convert and go crazy heavy. They still want to reward models that are just stock but well painted, which for me is a relief because I don't want to have to invest 6 months into doing this heavy converted diorama. Now, that said, they still did reward and give demons to fantastic dioramas and converted models. So they're still rewarding that, but making the Slayer a stock model, I think is it's purposeful. Yes, exactly. And that's when I was competing. And when I was competing, that was absolutely true, Inara. But yeah, this is why I wanted to go. This is strategy. I told David that. I told everybody that. They asked if I entered. I'm like, no, I'm going to go and this is information that GW is giving us. They're going to tell us by what they award what they want to see from this competition. And so I'm really glad I went. I'm actually excited. Whether David's going to enter next year, I don't know. But I'm excited to actually enter Golden Demon again. Now, you guys should be all happy because Reaper's competition is not at all like that, right? We're not hyper competitive. We're the exact opposite of GW. You can paint whatever you want. You can paint it however you want, right? And you can do converting or you can do stock. You can do whatever you want. That's the open system. So it's kind of two completely different mindsets. And I think it's also, it's very much like the companies, right? Reaper's very inclusive. We're very much promoting the hobby. You know, we just love to see you guys bring out the models that you've worked hard on and they look great. You know, that's what we're into. Whereas Games Workshop is very much like they're a lot tighter on their rules. They're a lot more stringent. They're a lot more, you know, we want to see what we want to see. We have a style. We want to see you paint in it. You know, it's very diametrically opposed. And Reaper has always been, you know, more freedom like that, right? All of our sculptors sculpt different styles. You know, a lot of you could always tell Julie stuff versus Bobby stuff versus Jean stuff versus Jason stuff. You know. And whereas Games Workshop has always been more homogenous. It's always been that kind of way. And someone like me, I look at that, that's a challenge. And it's, you know, I appreciate that. I don't mind being told to paint within a box. For me, the challenge is then how can I be creative within that box? So it's two different mindsets. Neither one is bad. I think both types of competitions are needed in our community. Yes, it's actually a painting competition now, Kerniko, instead of a conversion and sculpting competition. No, I'm happy. I'm like, if it could have iterated any way, this is the way that I like to see it iterate. It means that even if you just want to paint a stock model because you love the model, you still have a chance. As long as you paint it perfectly. You gotta get technical detail down. All right, let's see here. So we were blocking in our Orchid, but we hadn't decided how to highlight it. Now we could go a couple different ways on this, guys. So I'm going to share with you, and we can choose what you'd like to do. How about that? 7 purples. Spattered crimson on yours. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, that's enough. That's all I'll talk about it. But in my opinion, and you know, there will always be sour grapes after any big competition where people have put 100+ hours into a model and haven't gotten an award. You know, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be disappointment. But I think the healthy mindset to go into this sort of thing with is paint something that you're happy with in a way that you're happy with. Understand what the judges are looking for. Play to that if you wish. But understand that if you don't, maybe you won't win. But you should still be happy with what you're doing and use it as an opportunity to like grow as a painter and to just enjoy your hobby. That's really, hands down. For me, painting competitions aren't stressful. They're just another way for me to enjoy my hobby. Yeah, the Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls miniatures game. I went past that booth and saw that. I had to not buy anything. I went a little crazy, guys. I went a little crazy at the con. Just a little. I only came home with 2 models in my suitcase, but David and I went online and pre-ordered stuff. Big stuff. So, all right, so let's see here. I'm going to grab a couple colors and we're going to talk about what we will highlight this color with. Where's my... I did not... Where is it? Ah, yeah. Okay. So this could be interesting. I don't think I'm going to like it, but it'd be interesting. All right, let me see here. I do not have breast cancer awareness pink, so we're just going to sub in like runic glow, but assume that we're going that way. Or we could go that way with a warmer. All right, so we have several ways we can go here. Actually, let's do a total curveball. No, not that one. That one? That might bleach it out a little bit much, but it could be interesting. All right. So, make sure I've got this. But yeah. Adepticon in general was amazing, and there were just beautiful models from all sorts of companies. Don't go unless you either have your wallet locked away or you have enough money to pay the price to Adepticon, because so many good mini painting companies and miniature companies go, right? And so there's always fantastic stuff that's sitting there. I bought a little creature caster model and I bought a big piece from Journeyman. Journeyman is doing the Rackham Confrontation. They're doing big pieces based on the original Rackham models, and I'm just a sucker for Wolfen, for Confrontation Wolfen. So I bought one, and then we ordered a big thing. So that's what I got. That's what hit my wallet over the weekend. But yeah, I mean, I would say Adepticon, like the only thing I wish is I wish they had a bigger painting area, a bigger open painting area, because you really have to kind of like, you know, pounce on a space when one comes open. But other than that, like I feel like it's a really good hobby con. And a lot of the competitions aren't like as hardcore as Demon. Like if you want to get your feet wet with an in-person competition, a lot of the companies have painting competitions that are pretty small. And it would be a fun way to kind of get in. And there's lots of them. So like you can paint a lot of different things and enter all different competitions. But yeah, and just talking to the industry people, you know, talking to the people who make the minis. It's always good. I bought it, Korniko. I bought it. I pretty much, honestly, guys, okay, there's very little in the world of mini painting that makes me just stop and stare and just look at the person and they're talking to me about the mini and all I'm thinking is just take my money. Shut up and take my money. This doesn't happen to me, but it happened to me with that Wolfen Pack diorama. If you haven't seen it, go to Journeyman Miniatures and look at the Howling Pack diorama. It's Wolfen, so it's werewolves with an elf and they're a pack. And they all slot together on their bases so you can make a diorama out of them. And they are huge. Like, they're 3 times the original Confrontation wolf in size. Like, each wolf is, like, you know, like that big. It's insane. Yeah, shopping at Adepticon is dangerous. I did not, because I didn't get a goodie bag. And I think that because Vic wasn't there, I think that... you had to get a goodie bag to get the promo bag to get the thing, and we didn't. We just got badges. So I did not. But I'm sure that next time Victoria is in the country, I could sweet talk her into one. Or sweet talk her out of one, rather. But yeah, Adepticon is a very dangerous con. All right, so we could go several ways with this model. And she wants to fall off her base. This is not good. Stay on your sticky. All right. So we could go with the traditional way to highlight. Yeah, I've got the Kesar the Fugitive one now that I bought at the con, and I'm resculpting his head, because why not? But we'll go into that. We'll go into that in my own stream, which actually won't be going for a while. So let's talk a little bit about my schedule as we talk about what we might highlight this purple with. And so I'm back for a few days. I'm back today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Then I have to run up to Canada to do puppy things for the weekend. I should be back Monday, but I wasn't sure, so I think I officially said I'm back Tuesday. Quindy, I'll text you and let you know, or message you on Discord and let you know. Just because, you know, it's Canada, it's crossing borders, so I didn't want to commit to Monday hardcore because I wasn't sure how that was going to go with all of everything. You know how it goes. But I mean, I may be back Monday. I will definitely be back next Tuesday. But that means this weekend I also am not doing my personal stream. Yeah. Yes, we're going up to see puppies. I haven't looked to see if there are new pictures of the puppies. But we don't want to derail the stream quite like permanently, even though, you know, after I've been gone for a while, you never know. All right. So guys, this is what we could do. So Orchid Purple, it doesn't have like a natural highlight, so to speak. Necromancer is a good place to start from because it is redder, it's warmer, but it is a bit dark. There we go. So these are really close to each other. And I probably would use the same, I would use Runic Glow as an option to highlight Necromancer for sure. So you could use Runic Glow or Breast Cancer Awareness Pink. If we use Runic Glow, I'll probably, you know, build a highlight from it. That's pretty much like BCA Pink, which is the special Breast Cancer Awareness Pink we put out in October for any order. You could go weird. You could bring it up with red, and I'm kind of leaning toward it. I'm kind of leaning toward bringing the Orchid up with red and seeing what happens. Yes, there'll be probably lots of puppy pictures on Tuesday. Yes. So I'm kind of leaning toward this because I haven't highlighted a purple with a red for a while. And it's an interesting look, as long as you don't lose too much of your purple. We could use Icy Violet, but it's not a great choice because the Orchid is so red. It won't work as well as it would with an indigo. You can do it, but it'll look a little weird. If you wanted to go like kind of storm wizard with her, you might do it and go with like a light blue also. I don't know. I don't know how I'd handle that. You can do it. You can do it. It's going to look a little funky because usually highlights are warm and not cool. So essentially it'll look odd. And then the last thing I could do, which will still work at this point, is I could highlight my purple with a yellow, which I think just broke people's brains. But that's okay. You can do it. You can only do this with a purple that has a lot of red in it. And I'm actually not sure that Orchid is that purple. I think you would do better with it with Necromancer. But what essentially it'll do is it'll shift it to a muted orange, a really muted out orange, and bring up highlights like that. And so it can be very weird. Yeah, the Howling Pack is really, it is. In person, it's super, and it's actually not a bad price. Like, you look at it and the price tag seems pricey until you see the huge, like, you have 4 huge resin models with a backdrop. Well, that's not to like for that price. But yeah, so that's the other way we could do it. I am very strongly moving toward using Fire Red to highlight Orchid Purple. I think I'd like to experiment with that and see if I can make it look good. It'll involve adding some white to this, probably, or skin tone. So essentially what we're doing is we're going up toward a warm red instead of toward a cold pink. So this is a very violet pink. And this is probably, if you are honestly looking for a good highlighter for Orchid, this is the most traditional I would recommend. But I like to play here. So we're going to play, I think. I'm going to play with fire. Play with fire, haha. Yeah, we're not going to use the lemon yellow because I don't feel it crows. It's an option, but I don't feel it on this model. I really was thinking I was going to take her up more toward this. I think I can. I think it's going to work okay. Yeah, saving for bone sticks, valid. Totally valid. All right, so let's get our Orchid mixed up, and then let's get our red mixed up. But yeah, it says something about how much I enjoy Adepticon, and when the day all is said and done, that even though it attacked me with absolutely horrible, atrocious weather, I still am into going back. Like, seriously, Chicago. WTF. All right, I'm going to add 1 drop of Fire Red here. Now, I chose Fire Red is that even though it is a relatively warm red, it does have a little bit of violet in it. So it's going to work with me that way when I'm using a color that's got a purple red like this, because having that magenta pigment and the blue pigment in it, even though it's just a touch, slides it toward this. But it still has a lot of warmer red pigment in it, so... I did not, Kerniko. I need to text Ron and let him know that Stumpy the Dragon is still Stumpy right now. As it is, I'm probably going to have to start painting the elf instead. Oops, I just realized that I do not have my brushes because they are in my con pack, but happily I use these to transport brushes to the convention. Just like old tackle box stuff, Plano organizers. And we got our brushes back. Yay. I also actually picked up the game MV Kalinsky's at the con because they had them on super special, and I'm like, well, I'll try them out. So we'll see how I like them. They're very thin, and that was what made me go for them because I like a very thin brush. So if I'm going to use a skin tone on this, So probably if I'm going to highlight with a white or a skin tone, if I use a skin tone, it's going to be Pale Flesh because it's very pinky. Don't want too much yellow. I don't. They do in the, like during the videos, in some of the paint along videos, Babel, when you go and read the actual Patreon post, I'll take you through the colors. So like for skin tones, I definitely do that at one point, although then I simplified the recipe. Otherwise, I think, yeah, off the top of my head, I need to do that with this one better. So I'll take that as a feedback. No, it is not. Clear red is a single pigment. I just mentioned in Ara that this had magenta and blue in it, just a touch. But it's also a very warm red pigment relative to Orchid Purple, so that's why I think it's going to work. So I'm going to do 2 drops of Orchid 1 drop of fire red. Maybe I'll just go with that. I don't want to really bleach it out yet. And then I'll do a 3-step, a fire red, orchid purple, pale flesh highlight. And we'll see how that looks. So just tune and mix here. Fire red has violet and a touch of blue. Also a tiny bit of white. Thank you for the Patreon. Yeah, sorry. we do paint-alongs on my Patreon. And I will do better with putting up the actual, like, what colors I'm using. Instead, not just in the video. To actually have a list. That's actually a good idea. And we're just starting 2 new paint-alongs. So I will make an effort to do that as I paint and choose colors. But yeah, the clears are the only single pigment colors that Reaper makes. And now that we don't really have any secret clears anymore. Now the oxides are out. Those are clears as well, as far as single pigments. Alrighty. So what we've got kind of lined up here is kind of like this. So what that red's probably going to do is take it closer to a burgundy wine kind of color, except a lighter burgundy. Oh no, where's my water? See, this is the problem with going to cons, is I put everything in a bag and haul it around with me. And then I have to dig it all out afterwards again. I got to talk to the Scale 75 people about their oil paints also, which was good. I got to ask them all the questions. Yeah, we'll do that. So yeah, it's also nice to just see all the industry. Like I saw Crocodile Games was there actually. Chris Fitzpatrick, for those who don't know, in Crocodile, or I worked for Crocodile when I was first freelancing. So that's just straight up Orchid. And now we'll do the Orchid plus red. Oh yeah, I like that. This is going to be good. I may have to do more of a red, less of an orchid. And then this one goes up another step. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to like this. I think this is going to be a good call. I think I'm going to add a brush full of this back into this. And I think I'm also, I don't know if I want more red. I think we're good. I think that's a pretty good triad. It's almost the burgundy wine, violet red, pale violet red, but do you see how it's warmer? It's not as cold and as violet as magenta. And so it's kind of what I wanted to do. So it makes me happy. All right, let me grab a brush. But yes, I'm happy to be back. Yay. Even if it's just for a little bit. Oh, I was going to see if there were new puppy pictures. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Puppy playing with an inanimate object. Too cute. Sorry, I had to share that. Had to be shared. Had to be shared. Yes, sorry, had to be shared. I just like flipped over and there was that cute. There was the absolute cute. Very happy. Yeah, I don't see. Oh. Yeah, there are some pictures for Happy Puppy Day. But I don't want to like get it I don't want to derail the stream too much cuz, you know, puppies. They could totally derail the entire stream. All right, let's see here. Let's do some layering, some traditional layering. I'm kind of want to build up this warmer red color and see how it shifts everything. Oh no, puppy time. Yes. So yeah, so this is Orchid purple. The shadow color is Orchid. So if you ordered the Bones 5 paints, then you have it. If you do not have it, it is coming out in April, Quindy said. All the Bones 5 singles will be released, or Bones 5 paints will be released as singles in April. So if you don't have Orchid Purple, buy the heck out of it because it's really good. All right, I'm going to get closer so you guys can see. Now these colors are very close to each other. The red, even though the red doesn't look it. It is pretty transparent. I'm going to put actually one more drop of fire red in there like my gut originally told me to. I'm going to mix that in and see what I've got. Yes, I know. You all love the puppy pictures. I appreciate that. Yeah, I get to go up and see those little devils. Although I do have a bit of a fear that, like, I just traveled, right? So if you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick, like, now. Even though I haven't been sick in 5 years, I'm still like, oh no, I hope I don't catch COVID and can't go to see the puppies because I chose to go to Adepticon. I don't know if Christina did just a group puppy picture. Well, there, okay. Here, have some cute. Have some cute, everybody. There. Now you've had your cute. Yeah, they're cute little puppers. They're really adorbs. Really adorbs. Kiri's great-great-grandpuppies going into the world. Yeah. So yeah, the Kiri head there, Crowley, is totally appropriate since these are Kiri's great-great-grandpuppies. All right, so now you can see how much warmer that is. See, it's a lot more red since I put the extra red in. If we want, we can take a touch of the Orchid there and kind of blend it in along the back there for a shadow. And I think I'm going to bring in the red a little bit more toward the front. So let's grab our pink here. We're going to kind of experiment on this big piece to see how our colors look. If we like them, then we're going to rock with them. Yeah, the fluffy. These are the plush, Shiloh plush coats, so that's the long coat. Not my favorite. I like the smoothies, but... So then you can see that highlight and how that looks. So as that dries, we can see now that shifts it toward a warmer pink. See how cold this is back here and how that's bringing it more forward. Now I don't want the pink to totally take over, so I have to keep my highlights pretty sharp. This is what I always do a proof of concept when I'm thinking about doing a big change or shift to something in the model. In this case, shifting this colder purple a little warmer. And if we feel like we lose some of our purple, we can do a glaze to bring the Orchid back in. I'm actually kind of doing a spot glaze right here. That's really beautiful, actually. Ah, windows, I don't care. Yeah, Jason's so good at doing the relief minis and the benefit minis. He's a great guy. The bird is cute. I saw it pop up on, I think it was on my Facebook. I'm going to make a new highlight for this now. Moving over some of my red. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Ruby chocolate. Maybe I want food too much. I just had breakfast. I'm going to use another drop of the Pale Flush actually to bring this up instead of using pure white, just because the Pale Flush has that pinky color that I'm just curious to see how it works. So that layers up there. Let's see here. So now we've got almost a pentad, and we will get a pentad in the end. So that's the color progression we have here. And I'm very much thinking that if I lose too much of my purple by going up very warm like this, I will just be glazing with the Orchid to bring things back into line with that. All right, I'm actually going to thin down since I added a color that's heavy with white on this. I'm going to add that. It can't decide whether it wants to rain or sun today. It rained all night here. It actually rained all day yesterday. We missed a rainy day. But I got to hear rain on my roof last night, which is always my favorite. I'm kind of jet laggy, but... kind of jet laggy, but I'll recover. And happily, the trip up to see the puppies is going to be in my time zone. So all right. I'm going to try something. I'm going to bring in this pink more here. There we go. So you can see those colors. Let's get out of the palette, out of the frame, so you can see closer. So that's bringing in, like, if we're going to block in a lot of highlight, which you can totally do. You can see how that blended. I'm doing smooth blends for you guys. You should be happy. Actually, I'm going to do it from the reverse as well, because I do have a little bit. You can see that demarcation line there. The reason that you get demarcation lines when you're layering, and you can see that line right there, is that we started layering in a color that has more white. And white is so very opaque that it doesn't like to blend. Transparent colors love to blend, but white, not so much. So then you get that kind of, that line. And you see it when you try to highlight up blue also. If you start with a very, very deep dark blue, like Ritterlich, for example, and you just add white to it, you will see demarcation lines. Now, given I have to get really close to see that demarcation line, so... Yep, just water for the most part, full ton. Sometimes I add I have two bottles. I have a just water bottle, and then I've got a bottle that is mixed with flow improver, wherever it is, around here somewhere. It's probably still in my bag. So I have a water with just a little bit of flow improver mix, and then I've got just a straight water. And essentially, if I'm doing like fine detail, like really fine detail, like eyeballs, or I'm doing tiny freehand, or, you know, when I go in to do these tiny laces or the little detail up here on her shoulder, I'll use the flow improver mix just to get that little extra surface tension break, but you don't really need it. Master Series paint has flow improver added to it, so it doesn't hurt to add a little extra, but you don't absolutely need it either. But yeah, I add a lot of water because I like to do the smooth blend thing, so I also like to be able to do really fine stuff, and to do that, to get that kind of level of control, thinner paint helps with that, in my experience. So bringing in, now if I really want this to pop, we can do one more highlight shade. Let's mix up another highlight shade, and then I'm gonna come back and try to blend all that in. Now you can see that demarcation line from the, and as the light shifts, you will do that. You'll be able to see, depending on where the highlight is, you can really see that line there. So let's actually tackle that before I do this highlight. So you can see the line. Hey, Carrie Michael, thanks for the Prime sub, 21 months. Excellent. Excellent. I'll have to sing you a double sub anniversary soon. So I'm going to actually grab my red color, what used to be our midtone in the 3. And when you've got a sharp line like this, all you have to do is come at it from the other direction with the same brush stroke. You essentially want to interrupt that line to disrupt it. You might have to do a couple passes if it's really strong, but even that one pass has made things a lot better. So this is how, this and glazing are how you get those perfect smooth blends. It takes time, which is why, a lot of times, a lot of people were talking at Golden Demon about this, because smooth blends GW loves them. And people are like, well, why don't you do it anymore? Like, if you can do it. And I'm like, because it takes a long time to do, and a lot of people don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate how much work goes into getting those smooth blends. So that now is see how that interrupted that line and blurred it? So now if you come back in again, and you essentially keep blurring that line, and I'm using very little paint on my brush here, and you just keep disrupting that line, then you get a lot more. Now, I may have disrupted it too much there. We'll see. As it dries, it will. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. And this is why it takes a while to do this technique, is that it's a lot of back and forth. Often these days as a shortcut, instead of doing the layering back and forth, I will do spot wet blends, but those are something that takes a fair amount of proficiency to really master to the point where you can just do it organically. So I often don't do it. Oh, don't be cranky. I know that's useless, right? Telling somebody not to be cranky. I know, because I get cranky. And David's like, oh, and I'm like, ah. I will totally bite the hand that feeds me. So I feel you. I feel it, Turgeon. I hope you feel more better later. More better. Yeah, like English words. I can do them. Kind of. I'm going to make a new puddle of highlight. Because why not? Why not make the pentad, right? Why not go all the way? So we're going to, again, throw a couple of brushfuls over here. And bring it up with this pale flesh. Since I've committed to the pale flesh, let's just go for it. Lack of paint makes me cranky too. Yes. Yes. Even with drab, with animals that appear drab, if you can accentuate the texture and go for highlights and shadows, you can make them look exciting. Make sure that you punch the contrast up. All right. Overall, though, I like how this color, it's a very complex color. It's really kind of plummy now. I like it. So now this is our complete succession of colors. Just to recap, we're using the Orchid purple was the color we started with here. This purple, but then I decided I would like to bring it up by mixing in some fire red to make it warmer, more of a true red. And then I also decided to add in, at the highest colors, to add in pale flesh as a skin tone. Highlighting purples and reds with skin tones can be a really good idea because it keeps it from going too pink. It's always then a little bit more complicated so that it doesn't immediately scream pink at you. The other trick to keep your purples and reds from going pink is to make your highlights small, which is pretty easy when you're doing a small miniature. But I really love the kind of complexity of the color that I'm getting here. It's almost like a purple rose or something. I don't know, I like it. It's cool. And if I was still making all the paint and creating new colors, I would totally create this as that reddish color as a color. But it is close to red violet. I think if you added a little bit of white and yellow to red violet, you could get close. So when you're getting down to the edge here, it is okay to do an edge highlight, although if you really want a smooth blend, you may need to kind of fuzz out that edge with some layering. But as you can see, that pulls the eye toward the center and it really brings the light out, because obviously as this goes back, you've got the arm up here and you've got the pouch and you've got the cape. So light isn't going to reach back here very well, but up here, the light is going to reach. So you can see as I put that higher highlight in, it's not even close to pure white yet. It's just layering up highlights. And you can always glaze over it a little bit. And it's just, I think, I really like that color. Do you guys like it? Yeah, it reminds you of a tulip color. Yeah. I really wanted kind of that. She's looking good. I'm happy with her. I might. And the other thing that we can do. So we started out with a purple, and it was a really, like a purple with a lot of blue in it, right? It was pretty red, but it's still very purpley. And then we started adding red to it. So color wheel wise, we started out with something red-violet, and then we moved to something red, right? And then we're warming up, but we're not quite going to red-orange here. So really what we did is we took a red-violet and we pushed it toward red, which means that if we wanted to go with a true dark purple on another part of this, guys, we could do that a lot more easily now. Like we could go with the blue, violet, and violet as a counterpoint color on her. I wouldn't have done it if we'd stayed red-violet because that would be too close. But as we push our red-violet toward red with the highlights, that means we can play in this area because we're pushing it farther away from the red-violet. And this is an example of how with highlights and shadows, you can get colors that are really close on the color wheel to work together. as long as you like go one way with your highlights and then with your accent color, whatever, you go the other way. So by using red to highlight this, we're pushing it that way so we can once again open up these colors to use and not worry about too much clashing. And so this is a way that you can, like, you know, kind of tweak your colors. Like when you take a blue and you shade it with purple, you're sliding that way. So then it's going to work better if you put like a teal or a green next to it. Whereas otherwise, those colors are right next to the blue and they might fight a little bit. Green and blue fight a lot. Green and teal, blue and teal. Those colors all don't like each other. But if you push them one way or another with shadows and highlights so that you push them apart by what you're using to shade and highlight them, you can get them to work and even to work really well. So with her, I think maybe going with a dark violet, purple, or indigo here could be a really good counterpoint. Like I wouldn't have gone that way with just this purple because it would have been too close. But now that I'm popping this toward a red, I think it could work really well. So I think maybe we'll go purple and like blue indigo, blue dark indigo. I might do an ultramarine shadow with rich indigo and see how that looks. Maybe I'll do it right now. I think I know where my rich indigo is. Yeah, there it is. And we haven't used rich indigo, and I'm always talking it up. I do love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. Where's my ultramarine? Ultramarine Shadow. There it is. So these black indigo is also a great shadow for rich indigo. But here I want to go a little bit more toward blue because, again, that's going to be pushing it apart on the color wheel. So I think I will put the inside of the cape, I will go with Ultramarine Shadow. I'm going to put some white on her also, some creamy white. And at first I was thinking the inside of the cape might go creamy white, but now I'm thinking maybe not. Now I have to kind of stop and think about where I'm going to put other colors too. But I think I have enough opportunity to make things white in here. I think I'll put a bit of white on all of this. I might make the belt pouches white. I might make this part white and gold. I make the breeches white. Yeah, it'll work. Got to kind of stop and think, okay, what other colors am I going to put here? Are they going to contrast well enough? Because if I go dark here, going dark with these things wouldn't work so well. I can go like brown, like a medium brown with the boots. That'll be fine. And I can go white and white and white. I can do it. So stop and always, before you make a color decision, if you're not sure about it, kind of ask yourself, especially the inside of a cape where you know it's going to be up against stuff, ask yourself, am I going to have enough contrast here? The Adepticon result is... Here, Dogfather. The Adepticon result is Anne won her first trophy in 20 years. That is the Adepticon result for me. I'm famous again. 20 years, Bryce. First trophy in 20 years. I won my Golden Demons in 2002. Yeah, actually that trophy's really cool. I really like the Privateer trophies. I thought they were littler, but that's a monster. Here you go, Bryce. Here's how he turned out. So there's my Borka entry. Here you go. Here's how it turned out. I got some nice judge feedback too. Like there were only a couple things they could ding me on. And they were really nitpicks. Like they had to go hard to nitpick. So I'm very happy. Yeah, he turned out really well. So yeah, there you go. And I agreed with both of them. I could have done more to bring up, to rub off metal on the tips consistently because they would totally get hit a lot. And then the leather brakes were just a little too regular. Like seriously, this is them like reaching. But I do agree on the metal brakes. Like as far as like doing the weathering with the cracks, I should have done it a little bit rougher and more ripped. I might have even carved away a little bit of the resin. So yeah, so this This trophy is immense. It's immense. I can't even put it under the camera. Like, I think the metal spike just needed a little bit more weathering off the edge. Like, if it would have been a little brighter, if I would have used a white metallic on the tips, I think they wouldn't have been able to even... Oh, and they thought they wanted a little bit more... The other thing they wanted was a little more of color variation in the shadows on the shade of metallics, which I kicked myself for, because I was thinking I should put some ultramarine in there, and I didn't. And I should have. But, still, I got the trophy! But yeah, so I do agree I could use a white metallic on the tip of the metal spikes to make them look more rubbed off. Because he'd be like brushing up and those would be getting hit all the time and stuff. So I totally get that. Yeah, I know, right? I felt bad for David though, Bryce. But really competitive Golden Demon field. Like super hyper competitive. All right, so we're going to take some Ultramarine Shadow. And I'm going to use that as a start. I think I'm going to mix a little rich indigo into it, because I know I'm going to bring that up. Ultramarine Shadow has absolutely no white in it. It's not a pure pigment color. It's both a blue and magenta load, and it's got actually quite a bit of magenta in it to hit that ultramarine color. If you're looking for something for a match for dark ultramarine from Tube Paints, this is your baby. It's a beautiful, luscious color. But I do, because it doesn't have any white in it, if I try to layer it up, it is going to be a beast. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that color, which is right there, and I'm going to add a drop of the rich indigo, which does have just a little bit of white in it. So yeah, it's funny, like, I came home really motivated to paint for competition because, you know, it's been 20 years. Did I still have it in me or didn't I? Apparently I do, so I guess, you know. And also, you know, you go to these things, you get, when you see, it's like going to ReaperCon, right, guys? When you go and you get so inspired to paint. That's what Adepticon, like, did for me. I made a list of all the models I wanted to paint for competition next year. Pardon me while I unclog my rich indigo. There we go. I think that should work. Yeah, so just one drop. It's such a beautiful color. Such a beautiful color. And also rich indigo and icy violet. Like these guys are super friends. Like you need to like highlight rich indigo with icy violet. Just saying. It must be done. I need to clean my pokey tool. It's definitely not happy with me. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with my results, and makes me want to paint more stuff next year. One of the models I bought at the show I want to have ready for ReaperCon, so that'll be like my next project. So when I do get back on my stream, after I get back from Canada, so I won't be streaming this Saturday because I'm going to be in Canada doing a puppy evaluation. And then when I do get back, we will, I'll probably be working on that new piece, which is from Journeyman Miniatures. All right. Now, one thing I need to stop and kind of evaluate. This is a very, very intense color. It's super saturated. As you can see, it's super bright, right? This isn't necessarily going to like all of these. These are a little bit muted. So ideally, I would mute this out just a tiny bit. So I'm looking at my kit here, and I'm like, okay, I could do two things. I could do three things. I could add a complementary color to this. So I could add something that's orangey, and orange to it. I could add something with black, like black indigo, to drop it down a notch and gray it out. Or I could add like an indigo that is a bit grayed already, like Night Sky. So let me think for a second about how I want to deal with this. Yeah, rich indigo, icy violet. And rich indigo airbrushes really well too, Kerniko. Yeah, 2 Saturdays and no Anne, because I have cute as the Dickens puppies. Very, very cute as the Dickens. Cute, very cute Nami little puppies. Very, very cute. Those need to be evaluated. So I will be in Canada. Alrighty, I think I might do both. I might just go crazy with this mixing on this. And sometimes I do this, guys. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I want it darker. All right, I'm going to pop at least a drop of rich indigo into it. Or sorry, a black indigo. Mix it up. That's going to grade out just a little bit. That might be enough. So it's a little darker now. See how it's a little muddier? It's not as like super bright. That's the black pigment. That might be enough. I'm going to try it. I'm going to put down a coat. I can always come back in and apply another coat over that. Evaluated and cuddled. Yes, much cuddles. Like I said, they are Kiri great-great-grandchildren, so I do have to pet them and make much of them and tell them that their great-great-great-grandma would be so proud. Kiri loved her puppies. She wanted to play with them, and the puppies were like, whoa, you're way zoomy, mama. It was funny. She would get so excited about playing with her puppies that she would just like lay out and just rip around the yard, and the puppies would be like, whoa. All right, so we're going to put down a nice dark color. You see how dark that is? The other thing I can do is if this is too bright, I can tackle it instead of mixing other stuff into it right now, I can tackle it on the model. So I can put colors over the top of this or mix colors into the highlights or shadows that will mute down this deep, deep blue. I don't think have I done a blue and purple model before? I don't know. Usually I don't go with things that are really close to each other on the color wheel, but maybe I should. Maybe I should start doing more of this where we pick two colors that are fairly close on the color wheel, and then I show you guys how to push them apart and make them work together. Start playing a little bit more. So right away, as far as the shadows go here, I don't have, like, there's not enough contrast here. These colors aren't standing out, but we'll deal with that as we highlight this. And I'll also make an extra note because this is underneath the arm here. It would be in shadow. So I will bring in a darker shadow here and I'll bring up this purple to make these details stand out. This is something to be aware of when you're highlighting and shading and planning at color composition. Yeah, I agree. Rich Indigo and Icy Violet Dragon with cat assistance would be pretty cool stream. I'm gonna totally say Anara is right. Absolutely there. 100%. Where did I? Oh, I have files out here. Sometimes you get just a little irregularity in the plastic. So lots of talk. Actually, the other thing you guys might find interesting. Lots of talk about SciCast, the new, the process for Bones USA. Lots of talk about SciCast at the show. They had a booth. They were showing, I'm sure they were trying to drum up even more miniatures companies to get in on the SciCast train. So I'm just kind of burnishing with my file at this little piece of plastic. Kind of get it off of there. Takes a little longer than like just trying to slice at it with a knife or something. It's on a recessed area, so it's hard to hit. But yeah, so SciCast had a booth, and we're showing samples of what the new SciCast material can do. And I think you all should be very, very excited. Like, Ed is all excited, I know, about more SciCast. So there we go. I just wanted to get that off of there if I'm going to do some cool highlight and shading. I don't want to run into little imperfections in the plastic. And actually, we talked about this with people at, gosh, where was I just watching it? Oh, probably it was Vince's YouTube. But he was talking about how it's never too late. Like, no matter how done the model is, it is never too late to take an X-Acto knife and fix a mold line or, you know, any of that stuff. And right now I'm seeing actually another little bit that I missed in prep that is kind of hard to reach. So I'm going to have to try to see what I can do there. Hold on. Let me get my knife out. I don't know if I can actually reach this little spur of plastic. It wasn't anything I actually noticed, but it's a little, you can see it right here. See that little spur of plastic? So I think I can reach it with my knife. There. just barely. There. I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to try to slice it off the back. So get the knife in at an angle. Once you've pulled it down a little bit, bring it in. There we go. Ha-ha! Success. So yeah, no matter how far along you are on a model, if you find a mold line or you find like a piece of plastic that you completely missed, much as you might be tempted to just leave it, if it's just a gaming model, you can leave it. But if you're trying to like paint better, like if you're proud of the model, it's worth it. Just to, yeah, you have to paint over the surface again, but it's not a big deal. SIOcast, Esser. SIOcast. It is what the Bones USA are done in. And a lot of companies are moving to it. The problem is, the reason they're moving to it is that it lets you get the fine detail of resin. So it's actually better detail than metal in some cases. It's like this. I mean, you can see how nice the detail is on this figure, how sharp it is. This is SIOcast. This is a Bones USA figure. And then the reason that companies are looking at this is that it's not bendy like PVC, and it holds better detail. And also, it's the price of tin, because metal miniatures are cast mostly out of tin, and the price of tin is skyrocketing. Like metal miniatures, you have to price them more and more expensive. And companies, they want to, especially companies like Infinity or Corpus Belli with Infinity Game, they're known for their beautiful metal models, but they're having trouble now because they have to price it so high. Yeah, the new SIOcast. I mean, I like this SIOcast. Like, Bones USA is really, really good. And if they could give me an even better Bones USA, I'm like, done. My only thing is, like, I wish they could do bigger models, but that will come. And to be fair, like, the bigger models do pretty well in, like, Bones Black, like in the original Bones. But where SIOcast kind of came from is it's the process and material that, like, the manga, like the big mecha kits and stuff, like, a lot of that stuff was done in this material, is what I was told. And now it's just getting more widely known. So there's that blue. I think that blue is going to work. This is going to be a very pretty little gem-like figure. She's going to have very jewel tone colors on her. Yeah. Yeah, I talked to the Infinity guys at the show a bit. Just chatting with them about their like, I forget what what the game is. They have the smaller game with the kind of anime look, and it's like totally Overwatch feel, so I was like interested. So we chatted with them for a bit. Oh no, a blurf, but that's okay because I haven't painted the leg yet, so a blurf doesn't matter. I can put water on it and just take it off anyway, for the most part. Yeah, whatever, the Esteria. For Infinity, they had stuff. They had new box sets at the show that David was nosing around, interested in. The thing with Corvus Belli that I found is usually like they don't bring the whole line. They just bring. I wish they brought more. Like they brought a lot of the if it's Esteria, their kind of like Overwatch like MOBA game. So they had a lot of that, but they didn't bring like I couldn't just grab a bunch of Infinity. Like you can't go to their booth and just buy an Infinity Warband, right? And that kind of like unless it's a new product or an army set, And so I wish they would bring more product, but I totally get why they don't too, because, you only have so much room in your booth and they have a lot of gaming space. Oh, yes. I have new models for my collection. Yes. I'm not going to show them on stream because they're in the other room, but I will be painting them on my personal stream on Saturdays. I bought a Wolfen from Journeyman Miniatures, and we ordered the new Howling Pack diorama from Journeyman as well, Bryce. And we also ordered that female samurai bust they've got, the new one. We ordered it. I ordered it in super big, and David ordered it in moderately big. That was our big purchase of the con, is Journeyman. Journeyman got all our money. Because I love Confrontation Wolfen, and I cannot lie. I'm going to take my dark color, and I'm going to hit the bottom of this cape. Even though it's a blue, it's still dark. And because it will be in shadow, it won't attract the eye. Haha. Yeah, I started... I love the Confrontation Wolfen, but sometimes the original French art is very French and it's a bit cartoony. So the sculpt on the Howling Pack models is really, I think, very serious, and I like it. But the model that I bought had a little bit of too much of the cartoony face going on, so I'm resculpting it. You know, you buy a model and then just resculpt the head because you just don't like it that much, like you do. So yeah, so I'm resculpting the head. Actually, I can show you guys. Maybe I'll show you on my phone. I think I took pictures. Let's see here. So, oh, Golden Demon pictures. I need to get past the Golden Demon pictures to my actual, oh yeah, here we go. All right, so the concept art is very French, and it's still a cool Wolfen. Like, this is Cassar, the fugitive. But you can see, like, the thing that bothers me is it's not a very realistic wolf expression, right? It's human. They've made the expression more human with putting this muscle group in. So essentially, I wanted a more realistic looking and more fierce Wolfen. So I'm doing that. And it doesn't show the fur texture that I put in and stuff. But in general, I'm actually very happy. So when you've got a canine, they don't really use their muscles like to pull up this back part of the mouth. You've got the cheekbone and this muscle group here. It just comes down straight. So you can see how that really transforms the look of the face, right? And then I'll be adding more fur. Also, I resculpted the ears to make them a little shorter and to give more head space in here. I'm going to broaden the head a bit. Made the eyebrows a little bit poofier. I broadened the cheekbones a bit. So pretty much that's what I'm doing to that model. It's still an incredible model. It's just like, if I'm going to work on something big like that, because it's big, I knew that the cartooniness of the face would make me not as excited about it. So I pretty much made the decision in that moment that I wanted to be really excited about the model. So I was going to resculpt the face because I could. And the only reason I can is that I've spent so long with dogs, like with Shilohs, right? And they're very wolfy in their heads. And I've just studied like the structure so much for my dog stuff that I felt confident that I could resculpt the head and make it more wolf, more canine, less humanoid. Because that was like my vibe. So far, I'm very happy with how it's coming out. I also suggested to the Journeyman guys, Bryce, that they run a painting competition. Apparently, a lot of people were suggesting to them that they should run a painting competition next year. Because they're going to have so many models, and I've already got so many beautiful ones. It was just reskinning. I think I was only fast because I did that in like, that was like 2 days work. It was probably... I did the initial hit, and then I did the eye and and the ear. But it's just reskinning. I find that when you're just reskinning something over, like if you're using an existing face and you're modifying it, I find that it goes faster because you don't, there are some things, some places you don't need to reinvent the wheel and you already have an underlying hard structure to work from. And Matt DiPietro helped me a bit with the eye structure. But yeah, I like it. I like how it's changing. But yeah, if you're looking for awesome big resin pieces, I cannot help but endorse Journeyman. For one thing, they're just a great group of guys. I think they're from Scotland. They're UK based. But they use sculptors from elsewhere. A lot of Joaquim Palacios, who's a really good sculptor. He did the Wolfen. There, all right. So I really like that rich blue. I think it's going to work. I'm going to have to mute it a little bit because you can see still how bright it is, how much it's standing out. But I think it's going to work. I'll have to darken. I'll probably use black indigo for that, although I may get a little bit more inventive than that. We'll see. I can't go purple with shading it, though, because that would bring it too close to the armor. We want to pull it apart, farther apart. So we'll have to use different ways to mute the color and keep it away from the purple. But yeah, I love the royal blue. Do you guys like it? I think that's a really pretty color scheme, and then we'll be doing some white and gold. You think you like it? Yeah, right? We've got the Morgana, or is it Morrigan, the Morrigan model. Those guys are huge into Celtic history, and that was like that's really like the passion project is the Morrigan, the Celtic goddess of the dead, the three-faced goddess. She's their tri-faced goddess. But that's an amazing sculpt and kit. So yeah. And they've got a lot more stuff coming out. The plan. They're all excited. They were all excited at the show. Alrighty. So I think I want to put a little bit of blue inside of here too, like just behind these robes here, to give it that kind of shadow and to bring that color up a little bit. So like just this shadow area here. I'll block it in with the ultramarine and black indigo mixture. So that'll help kind of see how that just defines it a little bit better, it gives it a nice dark shadow back here instead of here where you can still see a little bit of gray plastic down back in there. So I'm going to take that blue and bring it up the other side as well. Just so that that little bit of gray plastic back in there doesn't show. And then since I'm doing the underside of the cloak, I'll get these back areas. Always paint these areas dark. You can paint them, like in this case, I'm choosing to paint them the same dark color as the back of the cape. Or you can just do them like black, or you can do them like walnut brown is what I usually use. But just block them in dark because this is just there to provide like a structure in the mold and the miniature, you can't just leave that open space and still have it cast. So those pieces are really not meant to be seen or really painted. So the best thing to do with them is to block them in. If this was a styrene model with a whole bunch of different parts, though the front loincloth would just be a very thin piece. But because this is done to be cast as a one-piece model, that's why you get a lot of that filler buildup. But remember, you can see as I just block it in, it disappears. And then you get the illusion that this cloth is thinner than it is. So that's ideal right there. That's why you paint those parts dark. Too much contrast. Whoa, there cannot be too much. Really too much contrast in our interesting. Because I guess I'm not of the school where you can't have too much contrast, but I am definitely of the school that more contrast tends to make a better model, at least as far as like everything coming out. But I really like the blue, and I think it plays into the blue in her hair too. But this will mute out a little bit, remember. We're not going to leave it quite so bright. David and I both have a copy Bryce, but I think he's going to get to his before I get to mine. He has a clear color concept for his, and I don't. the guy I was talking to sounded like a Scot, but I could be wrong because I'm not like really up on, like I can't tell a Welsh accent. But he's not Irish and not British though in his accent. I thought he was Scottish. So maybe just one of their owners is but it sounded he definitely was talking about shipping and not from like the England side, the British side. I don't know. Yeah, you're the expert. Yeah. David is just gonna he's gonna hit a point. See, this is funny because I come home from a con and I just want to paint. He comes home from a con, usually having busted his butt painting leading up to the con. All he wants to do is play video games for a month after a con. Oh boy, okay. Let's see here. So I've got that blue mapped in. I've got the blue in under there. I don't want blue here. I think my blue is generally good. Yeah. All right. Good. So let's get back to our reds. I really like that sculpt too, Bryce, because I did, back in the day, back when I was going to MMSI Chicago, I really liked painting Celts. So it does appeal to me, that subject matter. So bringing in some red here on the sleeve. And here we've got a lot more wrinkles and small bits. So we aren't going to have as open of a playing field as here. We're going to have a lot less room to convey our colors up here. So this is also a test to see if our color scheme will transfer to an area which has a lot of small folds detail. Probably won't be using all of the colors in the pentad here. Probably going to skip the middle and just go up to one of the highlights and see how that goes. But yeah, and then I also bought a creature caster, Bryce. I bought I think she's the Priestess of Ecstasy. She's a little demonette. She's one of their small scale, 28 or 32 or whatever they do. But I really like her. So I think I don't quite have the oomph to tackle one of their big models for their competition, but they do have a small scale category now, so I figure I do have the oomph to tackle that. And I really like her sculpt, so I'm looking forward to painting her. So I will be painting not big stuff this year is what it comes down to. I'll be painting some Golden Demon, so I'm painting some GW, and I'll be also painting some Creature Caster on my stream. All right, so we've got a little bit of a highlight coming up there, and that's working all right here. I'm going to put a little bit of a higher highlight. Well, I'm still going to paint that Wolfen on stream, and that's huge. That's immense. That's got to be, I'm trying to think, probably a 1/12 scale figure? Maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a 1/15. I'm not sure what the actual scale would be. They're definitely bigger, significantly bigger than the original Wolfen sculpts. So I guess given that Wolfen are like 8 or 9 foot tall werewolves, and the original, it's about 3 times the scale of the original Rackham sculpt. So I guess that would make it a 72 millimeter Wolfen, but it feels like painting 100, like at least 120. It's big. It's very large. Once I get it together more, if I had my boxes here, I'd show you guys. But I kind of just threw everything into the other room last night because we got home pretty late and I was dying because we were on Chicago time. All right, going to take our lightest pink and just hit these folds at the very top. Got a little bit messy up there. But yeah, don't worry, I'm still painting big. I'm just painting some smaller also. Because I like the creature caster stuff a lot, but oh, it's so fiddly. So many details. Like, there are some models that I really kind of like. I really like in their they've got a big like kind of World of Warcraft like demon centaur dude, beast guy. I really like him. Kind of like a Manaroth from World of Warcraft. I think that's his name, isn't it? The big centaur demon whose body sits in Orgrimmar. Don't remember his name, but I really like him, and I almost thought about buying one, but they're so big. They're such a commitment. So I'll buy one at some point, but not yet. Probably need to finish my my other big creature caster before I do that. Very interested also to see. I really want one of those Mouseling trophies at ReaperCon. It's silly, but I need to probably paint a Mouseling. Because I love the little Mouseling Napoleon trophy. I adore it, and I really, really want to see it. Like, would love to win one and have one on my shelf, so maybe I'll paint a Mouseling. I know what my favorite Mouseling is, too, so I probably should just paint her and be done. Yeah, I mean, we got in. It was decent time here. It was just late Chicago time. I slept really well last night, so I decided I would stream. I figured I would be okay. The problem is, since I'm traveling again on Thursday, I need to like get all my Patreon stuff done. I pretty much needed to hit the ground running when I got home, no matter how I felt. And I didn't want to miss a stream when I was going to be gone for that puppy evaluation so quickly. I don't know about next Monday. Like I said, traveling from Canada. Hopefully they don't decide to not let me over the border. So again, bringing up. And you can see that a lot of my lightest highlights are going to be more evident on the bigger, broader surfaces. But having just a little bit of those highlight touches will still convey enough of the information so that you can see that all of this purple is the same. This is actually a very Golden Demon style, a very GW style paint job, by the way. I just realized that. Mouseling painting stream. Arrive Canada app. Oh, let me write that down, Robin. That's a good tip. I already looked up the rules, and I just need, as far as I can tell, I just need proof of a negative COVID test within 24 hours of crossing the border. Within a day, rather, a calendar day. And coming back, I should just need proof of vaccination to re-enter. But you just never know. Plus, I'm going to be taking at least one ferry because this person lives out in the middle of nowhere in British Columbia. So, there's going to be weird travel times. If I miss my flight, I'm going to be delayed. It's so much stuff could go wrong. We'll see. I looked it up on their site, on Canada's site, Robin, and it just said, I'm going to be driving over the border. I'm not going to be flying in. So it said just, have proof of your vaccinations and that you have a negative COVID test within one calendar day. That's all it said. But as we all know, things change very quickly. So I have to check again. And I appreciate it. I'll look up the app. That was too high, too fast. But yeah, I guess I could start my Mouseling on this stream. I'll have to see if I can order it. I keep going too high, too fast, too much paint. When you get kind of like blobby instead of precise, then you're getting too impatient. Too impatient. You need to back off and make yourself settle down. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. That's okay, Krios. I was hanging out at the table a lot, but I also was wandering around. Spending money in the dealer hall, you know, like you do.